Good morning, students. In the previous lecture, we did law of reciprocal proportions, and we discussed only one example in the previous lecture. Now we discuss its second example. You can see here the elements hydrogen and oxygen combine separately with the third element, that is your sulfur, to form H2S and SO2. So these two particular compounds are formed and they combine directly, that is hydrogen and oxygen combine with each other to form H2O. So three compounds are there, and you can see hydrogen, that is it is forming H2S. So hydrogen has mass 2 and sulfur has mass 32, and and on the second side you can see oxygen and sulfur form SO2, and sulfur has 32 parts and oxygen also has 32 parts. In H2S, hydrogen has 2 parts and sulfur has 32 parts. So here in both the compounds, sulfur has 32 parts, it means they have same mass. So the ratio of the masses of the other elements, that is 2:32, is 1:16, is 1:16. So now if hydrogen and oxygen adding to form water, so we can calculate the ratio of their masses. So 2:16, that is 1:8. So the ratio of the hydrogen and oxygen combined directly is 1:8, and the ratio they combine separately to the other element is 1:16. So you can see that this ratio is some multiple of the 1:8. If we multiply this by 2, or these both are in the ratio of 1:2. So law of reciprocal always told us that the ratio of the masses of A and B which combine separately with the third element is either same or some multiple. So in the first example it is same, and in the second example it is some multiple is of, they are multiple of each other in the ratio 1:2. So they directly relate to each other. You can see the sample problem here. Ammonia contains 82.35% of nitrogen and 17.65% of hydrogen. Water contains 88.90% of oxygen and 11.10% of hydrogen. And nitrogen trioxide contains 63.15% of oxygen and 36.85% of nitrogen. Show that these data illustrate the law of reciprocal proportion. So as you can see, ammonia is NH3, nitrogen and hydrogen, and water contains H2O, that is hydrogen and oxygen. So nitrogen and oxygen form nitrogen trioxide, that is N2O3. So this may be the diagram. So as you can see, in ammonia 17.65 parts of oxygen, or you can say gram of hydrogen 17.65 gram of hydrogen combined with nitrogen. How much nitrogen? 82.35 gram. So we are fixing the mass of hydrogen as 1 gram. In 1 gram of hydrogen combined with nitrogen is 4.67 gram of nitrogen. It means if 17.65 gram of hydrogen combining with 82.35 gram of nitrogen, then 1 gram of hydrogen combined with the 4.67 gram of nitrogen. In H2O, 11.10 gram of hydrogen combined with 88.90 gram of oxygen, or we will find it in 1 gram of hydrogen. So the value is 8.01. So these are the values of these are the weights or values of nitrogen and oxygen when we fix the mass of hydrogen, or we can say in 1 gram of hydrogen. So if we find the ratio of both of these, so the ratio will be 1:1.72, 1:1.72, and And in the N2O3, in the combination, direct combination, you can see mass of nitrogen is N2O is 36.85, ratio 63.15. So they are using the actual mass of nitrogen and oxygen. So ratio of mass of nitrogen and oxygen which combine with each other is 36.85 ratio 63.15, and the ratio is 1 ratio 1.71. So the ratio is exactly same. You can say 1.71 and 1.72 is exactly same. So this illustrates the law of reciprocal proportion. So next problem for practice, you have to do it on your own. If you have any kind of problem, then send me. Next is Gay-Lussac's law for gaseous volume. So in this law, we study that when gases react together, when any gases, number of gases react together, they always do is in volume which bear a simple ratio to one another and to the volumes of the product. It means if these are also gases, provided all measurement of volumes are under similar condition of temperature and pressure, etc., etc. It means if we are giving the same conditions of temperature and pressure, then the gases which reacts and the products which formed will be in a simple ratio. You can see the example: combination between hydrogen and chlorine. One volume of hydrogen molecule react with one molecule of chlorine to form two molecules of HCl, or you can say one volume react with one volume of chlorine to form two volume of HCl. So they always do in the simple ratio, that is 1:1:2. So the ratio between the volumes of the reactant and the product is 1:1:2. So this is the law of combining volumes, or you can say Gay-Lussac law. Combination between hydrogen and oxygen, you can see here, when we combine hydrogen and oxygen to form water, so two volumes of hydrogen is used, one volume of oxygen is used, and two volume of water is formed. So ratio is 2:1:2. So always this will be a simple whole number ratio. This illustrates the law of Gay-Lussac law of equal volumes. Next is the section 7th, particulate nature of matter, that is atoms and molecules, in which we study two theories or two hypotheses. That first one is Dalton atomic theory and second is Avogadro's hypothesis. So the main reason for this, you can say here, Greek philosopher said that and ultimate particles are called atoms, which mean indivisible. Firstly, we think, and when we study structure of matter, we think that the smallest matter is atom, which combine in the any reaction or which participate in the any reaction. So Dalton atomic theory, the main postulates of Dalton atomic theory are: first one is matter is made up of extremely small indivisible particles called atoms. It means atoms cannot be divisible. Atoms of same elements are identical. If we have one atom like hydrogen and the other atom of hydrogen and third atom of hydrogen, fourth atom of hydrogen, all have same mass, size, shape, etc., etc. Properties are identical. Atoms of different elements have different masses, sizes, also possess different chemical properties. Like if we have one atom of hydrogen, other atom of sodium, then these must have different properties, different masses, different sizes. So atoms of same or different elements combine together to form compounds, always as molecules. It means we are combining same elements either or different elements, like H2 plus O2 gives you H2O. So this is the fourth postulate, now called as molecule. And when atoms combine with one another to form compound, and they do is in the simple whole number ratio. This we studied in the Gay-Lussac law. As earlier we are saying, when atoms combine with each other to form compound, they are doing in the ratio 1:1, 1:2. Or you can say the as we did the ratio that water has always 1:8 of hydrogen and oxygen by mass. Atoms of two elements may combine in different ratios to form more than one compounds. For example, sulfur combine with oxygen to form sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. The combining ratios being 1:2, 1:3. Seventh point is an atom is the smallest particle that takes part in a chemical reaction. In other words, whole atoms rather than fraction of atoms take part in a chemical reactions. It means fraction of molecules cannot be participated. It means either one molecule react or two molecule participate, three molecules. We cannot say that 1.5 molecules react or participate in a chemical reaction. An atom can neither be created nor be destroyed. So this is all explanation you can see here. The postulate 8, that is all, an atom cannot be created nor be destroyed, neither be created nor be destroyed, is follow the law of conservation of mass. Law of constant composition, postulate 5th. Postulate 5th is in accordance with the law of constant composition, that as we already said that water has 1:8 always. So law of multiple proportions it is of postulate 6th. So law of reciprocal proportion, postulate 5, as I already told you, postulate 5 is also related to law of reciprocal proportions. So this is the Dalton atomic theory, which also explain the some laws of chemical combinations. Limitations, there are some if someone has advantage or postulates of any particular thing, so it also have some disadvantage. So we study the disadvantage or limitations of Dalton atomic theory. They are like, it could explain the law of chemical combination by mass but fail to explain the law of gaseous volume. It tells us about the chemical combination by mass because we studied the mass, but it failed to explain the law of gaseous volume, how the volumes of gases react or how the volumes will combine with each other. But they tell us about the masses, combination of masses, but cannot tell us about the combination of volumes. It could not explain why atoms of different elements had different masses. So it told us that different elements have different masses, sizes, valencies, etc. But they could not explain it. He could not explain it. Why do atoms of same or different elements combine at all to form molecules? Why? Why elements are combining with each other? What is the nature of force between present the matter in three states, solid, liquid, gas? It makes no distinction between ultimate particles of an element of a compound. What is the difference between? So there are some limitations. So you can say modified Dalton atomic theory, that is modern atomic theory, is given again. So modified Dalton atomic theory, that is modern atomic theory, is, you can see, atom is no longer considered to be indivisible. Firstly, they are considering atom as indivisible, but some theories have come that told us that atom consists of electron, proton, neutron. So this is first point. Second point is atom of the same element may have different atomic masses. As you see, hydrogen has hydrogen has one atomic number, one AMU mass, and sometimes it has 2 AMU, but atomic number is always same. But atomic mass can be different for different atoms of hydrogen. These particular types are called isotopes. So isotopes are there. So same elements have different masses. Third is atoms of different elements have same atomic masses, that are isobars, like calcium and argon. Calcium and argon has 40 molecular mass. So these are called isobars. So these are exactly opposite to the Dalton atomic theory. Fourth point, you can see the ratio in which the different atoms combine with one another may be fixed and integral, but may not always be simple. So you can see the ratio in the sugar molecule C12H22O11 is 12:20:11. This is not simple. So sometimes it is not necessary have to be simple. It may be fixed or integral, but it may not be simple always. So atoms is the smallest particle that take part in a chemical reaction. So it must kept in mind whether electrons, protons or neutrons are there, but atom is the smallest atom which participate in any chemical reaction. Electrons, protons, neutrons cannot take part alone. So atom is the smallest particular particle which may react or which may participate in a reaction. atom is no longer indestructible. We can convert atoms, one type of atom into another type of atom. You can clearly see here, example is given. Atoms of nitrogen change into oxygen. We can convert the atoms of nitrogen into atoms of oxygen by just giving a strike of alpha rays. Or you can say uranium can be converted into plutonium through interaction with neutrons. If we add neutrons into uranium, uranium can be converted into plutonium. So it means process of interconversion of elements through changes in atomic nuclei is called transmutation. This is the definition of transmutation. 1 mark question, it can be 1 mark question. What is transmutation? So process of interconversion of elements through changes in atomic nuclei is called transmutation. So by carrying nuclear reactions, atoms can be changed into other atoms. That's all for today. Avogadro hypothesis we will do in the next lecture. So that's all for today. Thank you.